Hey everybody, I'm estate planning attorney Paul Rabelais, and in this video I want to talk about what a Donald Trump estate plan might look like. Ever wondered what he's going to do with all that wealth, all those billions of dollars that he has? Well, in this video we'll talk about what are some of the legal strategies that could be, a significant component of his estate plan to try to protect what he has for himself and for his family. So, what this isn't is a political video to talk about all the politics. This is more of, somebody in his shoes. What's the best way to kind of protect what he has and preserve it for the family? And somebody in his shoes would be very, very wealthy. Maybe this would apply to someone with hundreds of millions or even billions of dollars of wealth. It's been reported he has about $3 billion of value in his estate. He's been married 3 times, 5 kids from 3 wives. His wife is much younger than him. She's 24 years younger, and she has wealth of her own. It's been reported she has tens of millions of dollars. Some of his kids are adults. One in particular is a young adult, and one is a minor. And so that poses estate planning issues. And I'm just going to assume his primary objectives are trying to keep it in the family, avoid, taxes, and just do things the right way. So we'll talk about that in a little bit. And I'm sure he's got a prenup. He's been divorced twice at least, whatever. And so, but she has assets of her own. But with the prenup, what's his is his, what's hers is hers. Okay, so we'll start with Donald Trump's potentially what could be his kind of what he should be doing during his lifetime. Most people with significant wealth, they want to try to transfer as much of it to the next generations as they can. So he's probably going to take advantage of some lifetime giving. He can give away $15,000 in value to as many people as he wants to every year. He has 5 kids. He has 9 grandkids. That's 14 people. And by taking advantage of something called gift splitting, if he and Melania consent, she can agree to allow Donald Trump to use her $15,000 that she can give to as many people as she wants to. So he, in theory, could give $30,000 to as many people as he wants to every single year, year after year. You add that up, 5 children, 9 grandchildren, that's $420,000 a year of wealth that he can transfer to the next generations that won't be subject to a 40% tax when he passes away. So he's likely going to do that. Then there's a discussion, if he's going to gift, is it going to be outright, maybe to his adult children, or in trust to his younger children and grandchildren? And if it goes in a trust, it would go into something called a crummy trust, topic of another video, in order to take advantage of him being able to do all this gifting without using any of his estate tax exclusion. And then there'd be a discussion about, well, should Donald Trump donate cash or should he donate interests in real estate? I know he has a lot of real estate. He has a lot of entities that own real estate. So in theory, he could donate very small fractional interests in some of these entities that own real estate, or he could just donate cash. And whenever you donate real estate or interests in entities that own real estate, valuation becomes a really big issue, so that would have to be addressed. In addition to his lifetime gifting, he likely would also pay the educational and medical expenses of his children and grandchildren, because you can do that in addition to the giving away of $15,000 every year. So I know he's got kids and grandkids, and I'm sure the finest private schools. Boy, that tab is probably in at least the hundreds of thousands of dollars a year. So now we're talking about maybe $1 million or so that he can shift to those next generations, avoiding that 40% tax. Kind of a drop in the bucket for a multi-billionaire, but you do what you can do, and if you do it over many, many, many years, the savings can really, really add up into likely saving millions and millions of estate tax dollars. Other aspects of his estate plan, he'll have powers of attorney in place, financial, healthcare. So maybe because his couple of his adult children, I believe, are running his business interests, he may appoint those children to be his power of attorney for financial and business matters, so that if he is incapacitated and he can't sign things, they can do it for him. He'll likely have health care, powers of attorney in place. Maybe his wife is named first because he'd want her making his medical decisions. In all of these roles he'll be designating, he'll name people to be first, and he'll name backups just to cover in case those first named people can't or won't serve. Now, the big one, what happens when he passes away? And I got to assume his goals are providing for his family, his wife, his 5 kids, avoiding tax. He may have other, maybe he has charitable objectives. I don't know, but I got to think his big ones are, how can I keep it in the family, take care of my wife and kids, and because I think his father did the same thing. So that discussion involves the estate tax and more specifically the marital deduction. So he would likely tend to go ahead and leave that amount that he can leave to his kids without any estate tax, leave that to his kids, and for 2019 that's $11.4 million. Leave that to his kids. What he leaves to his minor child would be in a trust. And then, but he has way more than $11.4 million, billions more. So normally the way the estate tax works is somebody dies, add up the value of everything they own, subtract 11.4 million, and then on the balance a 40% estate tax. So if he has $3 billion, that's a $1.2 billion estate tax bill that would be due to the IRS, to the government, within 9 months of the date that he died. That's a big tax bill, and it would be difficult to pay because I'm sure the bulk of his estate is in real estate. So now we're looking at having to sell that real estate, perhaps in a little bit of a hurry at reduced value, to pay the $1.2 billion estate tax bill. But all that can be avoided because he will likely leave the bulk of his estate to what's called a Q-tip trust, or something that qualifies for the marital deduction. See, our estate tax laws are set up for married couples so that they can arrange things so that really the tax gets paid after the surviving spouse dies, and it doesn't have to be paid when the first spouse dies. Now, to take advantage of that marital deduction and get that favorable tax treatment, he could just leave his estate to Melania, and when he died, there'd be no estate tax because all this huge bequest would qualify for the marital deduction that would be deducted from his estate before estate taxes were calculated. But he likely doesn't want to leave his estate to Melania because she's going to live for many more years, and you never know who she might leave it to when she dies. Maybe she'd leave it all to her child. Maybe she'd get married again and want to leave it to a second spouse. Donald Trump's going to have none of that. So he'll do what many people do, is he'll leave it to a trust that qualifies for the marital deduction, often called a Q-tip trust. So the bulk of his estate goes into this Q-tip trust when he dies. Melania gets the income from that for life. And then when Melania dies, the trust assets would be directed in some form for Donald Trump's 5 children. So that would likely be the case. And because she's so young, he might pass away, 0 estate tax, because taking advantage of this marital deduction. Because she's 24 years younger, she could live another 30 or 40 years, maybe even more than that. And who knows what the estate tax structure will be when she passes away. So, but they'd likely set things up to take advantage of having to incur $1 billion plus of tax due within 9 months of Donald Trump's death. That's avoided by taking advantage of this marital deduction with this Q-tip trust. Okay, so we didn't address the fact that he may be leaving the bulk of his estate to charity. I kind of doubt it for a couple of reasons. I think his father took advantage of some legal strategies to leave things to him, helped him get a nice head start on his life. He'd probably want to do the same for his family. And I believe his Donald Trump's charitable organization is being, as we speak, dissolved. So, but at least worth mentioning that the really wealthy people in the world, Warren Buffett, Bill Gates, they're leaving the bulk of their estate to charity because anything left to a charity avoids the estate tax. I'm assuming Donald Trump doesn't want to leave the bulk of his estate to charity. He wants to try to keep it in the family for his wife and kids. So we'd have to structure, those bequests to take advantage of the gift and estate tax laws that are in place. Now, he'll likely do all of this through some type of revocable living trust, because if he does it through his will, then when he dies, then his entire estate is kind of dragged through a court-supervised probate process. And if he sets all of this up through his revocable trust, which becomes irrevocable when he dies, then all these transfers can be made outside of the court system, really making things happen easier and faster and less public and less scrutiny. So he'd likely take advantage of something like that. So hope that helps. In summary, a Donald Trump estate plan likely takes advantage of some lifetime giving and some paying for medical and educational expenses for his descendants. He has 14 descendants at the moment. He'll probably have a bunch more grandchildren, who knows. And then structuring what happens when he dies so that a certain amount goes to his children that can go without estate tax, the rest to a trust that qualifies for the marital deduction to avoid the 40% estate tax when Donald Trump dies. Melania's 24 years younger, so while those assets will be in her estate, she may not pass away for many, many decades. And then when she passes away, perhaps tax will be due then, and the balance of the estate would go perhaps to Donald Trump's 5 children in some form, either outright or in trust. May also be some charitable bequests in there because those avoid the estate tax, and may do all of this through some type of revocable living trust to keep it out of the court and the probate system. There you have it, a potential Donald Trump estate plan. Don't know if that's what he did, but those are the kinds of discussions that we have when the really wealthy folks want to try to keep it in the family, avoid the kind of money grab that the government often wants to take advantage of. Hope that helps. I'm Paul Rabelais, estate planning attorney. Make sure that you like the video. Make sure you comment. Seems like anything about Donald Trump these days gets lots and lots of comments. And then hit the subscribe button so that YouTube, however it does it, will keep you informed of other, similar educational pieces that we put out there to help people protect what they have and pass it on the right way for their survivors. Y'all have a great day.